I'm a pastor, an artist, an author, a scholar, and a conversation. Welcome to Chastfest with Kenneth.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chat Fest with Kenneth. And for this episode, I want to talk about a very personal topic. Um, I am going to be talking about bipolar depression. Um, I didn't think I would ever make a video on this, but I'm beginning to discover that sometimes we are in a position to better inform, better enlighten. And if we choose not to do it, then it is a disservice to someone else who goes through whatever we go through and experience ignorance or misinformation. So, yes, I am going to talk about it. It's not as if I haven't already talked about it. I mean, I published a book, um, The Covenant, and what's the first book that I did? Confessions of a Tortured Soul. I mean, I have those two books out there that talk about my journey with mental health concerns, mental health issues. So it's nothing new right now. But here goes. So, what is bipolar depression? It is, for lack of a better, okay, I'm not going to use a textbook explanation. I'm going to use a personal explanation of it. I know that there is this particular kind of depression that I experience, and when I can feel it like a dark cloud coming from the horizon, and when it's coming, I know this particular one when it hits, it is um it is gonna knock me off my feet, and so I start running from it, and I start looking for distractions. I start looking, doing everything else to get away from it because I know once it hits, I'm done for. Um, and then there's also the wave, where there's the high and then there's the low, where I go up and I have all this incredible energy and I can do everything. I can multitask and do everything. And then it drops you and I'm like completely bewildered. No energy, no motivation for life, no nothing. And so when I actively began therapy, I learned about the cycle. I learned about um, uh, the chemical imbalance that goes on. I learned about how to better manage. And not just, yes, I did try medication. Medication is works for some people, but for me, it was overwhelming. And so I learned how to navigate without the use of um, medication. So recently, I had a huge disappointment that hit. It wasn't necessarily the disappointment that was the concern. The disappointment triggered um, my bipolar depression cycle. I wasn't ready for it because I haven't had an episode in God knows how long. And so when that triggered, it really caught me off unawares. I kind of resorted to isolation and cutting everybody off. And yes, contrary to, I'm a very social person. So when I isolate and cut everybody off, people feel concerned, as they rightly should, and they reach out. Unfortunately, they reach out in ways that rather than help, was contradicting. As I remember a friend of mine who is a professor, so I believe should be more informed on mental health concerns. And he says, "Oh, just pick yourself back up and get back." And I'm like, pick myself up. Did you think I don't know that? Pick myself up, just get back up. Like it almost seemed like it was a willpower. It was a choice. Like I chose to stay down. And I'm realizing that that is the misconception a lot of people have about depression, not just bipolar depression, but even being clinically depressed. That's what most people think, that, oh, it's a choice thing. You're choosing to be weak. You're choosing to stay down. You're choosing to just not be in the race of life. You just chose to give up. And so you're choosing. And so you need to get up and stop being weak. And that's why when people um, have such struggles, they don't feel comfortable speaking on it. They don't feel comfortable talking about it because it's identified as weakness. But it's not a weakness. It's more of a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's uh, emotion, psychological triggers happening. So it's not a willpower thing. It's not something for anyone to be insecure or inferior about. Just like if you have diabetes, you're not insecure about having diabetes, or you have cancer, you don't it's not a willpower thing to have cancer. But somehow, or you have bipolar depression, there is a lack of understanding regarding it. Um, what else? So yes, people who should know better were. I remember somebody was telling me, just pray through. You know, you pray, just pray through. And again, you think I don't know that. And if you want to speak on the Bible, let's look at and this is one of my favorite scriptures because Elijah had his moment of triumph over the prophets of Jezebel, the prophets of Baal, um, and he triumphed over them. It was his moment of victory. And then here comes Jezebel saying, "Oh, if by the end of the day I don't have your head, may the gods have me." And something about her pronouncement made him flee for dear life. He runs and goes hides in a ravine somewhere and starts pleading that, "Oh, I want to die. I want to die. I want to kill myself. I want to die." Okay, so was it that he did not know that he could pray his way through? Was it not the same person who called fire from heaven to combat, to challenge those prophets of Baal? And yet, in this moment, he is cowering in a ravine, in woe is me. And God did not say, "Oh, how dare you? You just had this moment of victory. You should know better." No. The Bible says that angels were sent to minister to him. Because in his moment of weakness, it wasn't condemnation or judgment that was brought, it was encouragement. So I say that it's not about, oh, just pray your way through. It is having the confidence that God will bring you through. When you are strong, great. But in your weakness, He's not expecting you to be strong. He's actually there to lift you up. So, I'm looking at my notes. uh, yes, so the era of people who should know better, speaking and like get educated, get informed, know what it is. Don't just reach out and say, okay, I remember there were two parties that were going on that I was invited to. And I said, I'm just not in a sociable mood. I just don't want to meet. I don't feel like talking with family. I don't feel like talking with friends. I just want to isolate. And a doctor friend of mine said, "This will do you good. Just show up. It will do you good." Okay. And I laugh because I know these people don't mean it's coming from a good place. It's coming from a place of concern, a place of care, a place of meaning well. However, it's ill informed. It's almost akin to saying somebody who has cancer and is feeling weak, does not feel like going to hang out with family, and you tell the person, just go, it will do you well. See how it doesn't make any sense? Exactly. Um, so the one thing I will say is that I learned from this is I already own my narrative. I own my voice. So fortunately, I'm not dancing to the beat of anybody's drums. I'm not dancing to the beat of pressures from anyone trying to meet up to some expectation that has been placed on me, so I need to now dance to that tune. No. I wear my shoes. I'm traveling this journey of my life. For turning 50 just kind of sealed the deal that I know me and I am working in that journey of me. So peer pressure to conform to some expectation does not work. Um, but what does work is psychoanalyzing um, and my faith. My faith in that somehow, even when um, I experience things I can't explain, that my faith is supposed to, eradicate everything and just make life beautiful. It just doesn't seem that way. I may question, but in the midst of the questioning, I still have a confidence in the covenant that I have. Um, Even when I experience ethical dilemmas within, when I experience contradictions within, it still does not override what he said, and my confidence in that. Secondly, um, I think this is a part that I am now learning to identify my tribe, to know and identify my tribe. And what does that mean? Knowing my tribe is knowing the people, having my community, the community for me. And that community for me is not one that embraces because I am meeting up to a status quo. No, it embraces just because I exist. It embraces me just because I am. Identifying that tribe, identifying that community, and um, making an allegiance to it. So, yes, I made this video because finally I've come through the tunnel. Yes, last week was the tunnel, but I've come out from the tunnel. I have my smile. Um, it is, and then I'm also feeling very vulnerable now because I am making this video. I never thought I would make a video about this, but hey, I see other people talking about mental health concerns, and it's like, oh, why do they get to talk about it? And I feel I am special and I can't talk about it. Yeah, I can. And so I am. And hopefully, I don't know how much information I have given, but it wasn't about giving information per se. It's more about education and knowing what not to do. And for those who secretly have a mental health struggle and are trying to act normal, there is no reason to pretend the struggle is there. The struggle is there. Own it. Be at peace with it. And whoever has issues with you having it, that's their personal problem, not your problem. Your problem is finding out proactive ways to handle your concern and move forward. Throughout this whole process, I have been in touch with my counselor who I meet with weekly. And so he kind of knew what was going on. So it wasn't like I was completely isolated. I wasn't completely isolated. I knew exactly what was going on. Um, and of course, now that I'm out of the tunnel, I will reconnect with people. And but I have no apologies for isolating because of something I had no control over. None at all. Well, thank you for this different episode. Very different. But hey, it's me, Kenneth, owning my narrative and owning my voice.